I'm the fuck out. I didn't even get started on what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Bro, that movie was crazy.
Crazy, Frankie. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, what are the specials tonight?
That sounds good. I'll have that.
Hey everybody, Specialist in Nothing, back at you again, talking about everything, specializing in nothing. My name is Frank. As always, Joe and Danny, you guys want to say what's up?
What up? What up?
How you doing?
I always forget.
If there was ever a time we needed to refer to what he's doing all the time, that was it. This is what he does.
So if you guys could just turn to page 69 in your workbooks, please, we can get started on the Montauk Project. Okay.
Dude, that was so funny. So can
I'm
you guys open
so
your docs?
happy that you noticed it too, and I saw your face. And
Yeah, as soon as he said it, he was like, "Fuck." That was so funny.
All right, Frank, have you seen
No,
Stranger Things at all?
no.
Okay. Joe has
Are
seen
you
it.
going to see it?
I watched some of the first season. We talked about this.
Let's just talk about it because
Yeah, you could talk about it. No, I don't care about that side. I never care about that anyway. I'm not a spoiler person.
You're not a spoiler person.
Like, I'm not someone that gets upset at spoilers.
I
But
do.
whatchamacallit? Well, depends on what it is, actually.
You'll get upset.
Yeah, well, like if it was like a Star Wars thing, I'd get upset.
Tell me you won't get upset.
You would
But
get upset.
whatchamacallit? I've started watching like the first season, and when he was like trying to communicate through the letters with the lights on the wall and stuff, and I just really wasn't into it, so I never really kept watching.
Kid wasn't into it.
I wasn't. And it's so funny because I said to Karen recently, like when we finish, because we're watching Ozark right now, but when we finish that, I said to her, I was like, should we watch this? Because everybody's talking about Stranger Things. Maybe it is good. We should give it a shot.
You need to. It's like,
Bro, you just got to get through the first season. It's like any new season. It's not fucking Cobra Kai, bro. Go away from Cobra Kai. It's not the greatest thing in the world. It's
Joe
not
still
going
has
to
to
be
get
like
on Cobra Kai though.
It's
It
good.
does.
It gets really dark.
Dude, it does. It's cynical.
Yeah.
It's creepy. It's real cool.
It gets awesome. You should appreciate it. I would think you would. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know.
He just doesn't fucking.
I'll get.
Where are you in Ozark? The new season, or are you starting to watch it?
No, we're still in like season 2, 3.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. All right. At
We
least
just started that.
at least you're doing it. Do you like
But
it?
I was gonna say, yeah, it is good. Same thing though. Someone told me about it a long time ago. I watched the first 2 episodes and I was like, this sucks. And then
It's
I never gave it a
so
chance.
good, man.
Someone was like, go back and give it a chance. So we did a couple months ago.
Bro, there's a lot of spins, and you're gonna wait. You're only
No.
in season 2. Wait to the end.
I don't know if it's 2 or 3, but he's already gone. He's already moved and like that whole thing.
Yes.
But yeah, I like it. The chick, the little girl that like is like following him or around or whatever, that he ended up like putting in charge of the strip club.
Yes.
I like her. She's funny. But I like her character. But yeah, so
strip club.
Works at a strip club.
Because it was a
No,
strip
well,
club.
No,
Puts
that
her in
was like
charge
the
of the
ending
strip
thing
club.
that I saw. Like he puts her in charge of it, like the thing that they took over the business. But like
She's pretty bad.
the whole story that she had with him and like how she was like trying to start out like to get it to be out for him. And then like it looks like she's gonna end up like really like trusting him or whatever. He could trust her. Or at least I don't know. We'll see. I guess that's one of the spins, maybe. Twists, spins, whatever.
So, real quick, before we like go.
No, you
gather
know what?
our
Do it
shit.
slow.
Okay. I could get 2 videos on YouTube that are probably 6 minutes each. Do you guys want to watch them real quick so you have somewhat of an idea?
I
of what
was
we're talking about?
gonna play. Yeah, not really. I was gonna play Fortnite with Frank, but I said, you know what? Let's do it for Danny tonight. And I started watching videos on the Montauk Project. And dude,
okay.
it's like, first of all, it's a conspiracy.
Right. I do not believe this.
Literally, it's
I
like
do not believe this.
I
but
thought it was actually more true until I read a little bit and saw these videos. And
So wait.
it's actually not really much of a proven thing. Only a couple people came out and said that they were involved in it, and they're like,
which is kind of how conspiracies usually work.
Yeah, true.
I mean, but dude,
I
there's not much to back it really.
No, you're right though. You're
At
right.
all.
I don't even
It's-
know anything about the Montauk Project, so I'm gonna read the Frankopedia that like Danny has here, just so I can like kind of put that out in the beginning. But the Montauk Project is a conspiracy theory that alleges that there were a series of secret United States government projects that were conducted at Camp Hero or Montauk Air Force Station in Montauk, New York, which is in Long Island, for the purpose of developing psychological warfare techniques and exotic research, including time travel. So I guess that's basically saying they were trying to like see if things like actually affected people psychologically.
Right. So I guess like since you've never seen Stranger Things, you won't get these references. But Joe, you know when they like have them in the sensory deprivation tanks and they try to fuck with them and shit, and they really like mush your brain into
Yes.
nothing to then
Yeah.
rebuild it up, and they push you until you could see what kind of powers the brain actually has. Like you know in X-Men when they try to like find new mutants and they try to push you to see how far you can go, and like in one of them, I think it was like the beginning of, I don't know if it was X-Men or one of the older ones, where they're in the concentration camp and you see Magneto going like this with his parents, and he's in such stress that he bends the wires.
Yeah.
Fast forward to X-Men First Class, when it's in the past, they show what they're doing, where they're about to shoot the mom, and he fucking. Did you watch this movie, or am I going to spoil this for you also? All right, so he's about to shoot the mom, and Magneto is like, no, and he's screaming at it. They fucking kill his mom, and he just like lets out all his rage, and he's in an enclosed area with all metal objects, and they're all just flying around the room. So like when you push and push and push, that's when you'll see what you can actually do. You know, like
God forbid,
I don't think
your
that's
kids were stuck under a car and they're screaming, "Daddy, help!" You're gonna lift that fucking car.
What happens? There's times where things like that have happened in crazy circumstances, and so there's stories around. But it sounds like what you're saying, like in the beginning of the first Deadpool, when he gets turned into him and he gives him like the thing and puts him in that tank, right? And he's like suffering until he's waiting for his ability to come out.
Exactly.
And everybody's ability is different. Like that's what it sounded like to me, to see like what ability your body had, and like.
So that's exactly what it is. And that's what they did. They experimented on these kids and shit like that. So these kids got abducted. So there's this, I guess, I don't know. I don't have it now, but there was a map of, I guess, Camp Hero, where it showed like little caves and little divots and shit that goes underground. And it just also showed like a map of all the kids that went missing. I don't think it was a lot. It wasn't like 1,000 kids went missing, but let's just say out of how many people live in Long Island, in like Montauk, let's just call it like, I don't know, fucking 200,000 people, maybe 100 kids went missing, and they started to fuck with this. So that's how that started.
So wait, were they kidnapping them?
I don't know. I mean, for the sake of us all agreeing that this is not a true
all
thing.
I keep seeing is like, oh, they were experimenting on kidnapped children. Like, but who was like, were the kidnappers kidnapping them and bringing them to them?
So like they were kidnapping them and using them for
experiments?
Yes.
Right. I'm thinking it was more like military or like U.S. government shit that was.
But why kids?
Because their minds are so fragile. They say like if your kid, like Ariana's,
I thought he was gonna say adrenochrome.
No, not at this point. They didn't get that far.
No, but that makes sense because it's easy more. Their minds are weaker, or they're easily influenced, or I get. But also, that does make sense.
If you think about it, a lot of the times when you see kids having imaginary friends or seeing ghosts and stuff like that, is because kids are more in tune with their fresh, I guess, brain and cognitive abilities and their consciousness. So maybe they do see ghosts and we just don't see it because we're adults and we're not trained to see that way.
Well, that has actually always been a real theory, as if like, because there are certain unexplainable events that have happened over time with kids and stuff like that.
It's always kids, dude. All scary movies. Who do you think sees the ghosts?
I feel the same way though, like between both of my kids' grandmothers, like my mom and Karen's mom being gone now, and there's things that they have said or done certain times that I'm like, okay, all right.
She's in here looking for us.
So I'm gonna read this.
She's like, why aren't you guys upstairs? Say goodbye.
So I'm gonna read this quick. This is exposing the Montauk Project. All right.
Danny and Frank. See them?
Is Minnie joining us on the show? Is she our guest?
She's sitting very nicely right now.
I'm listening to you guys. Yeah. No, she hears you. She's smart.
Guest.
All right. Bye-bye. Go. Get out of here.
This whole topic is, I'm gonna quote now, is alleged, because Joe, I don't want you coming at me about
it like 17 times already.
Because I know he's gonna come at me later and be like,
I'm not.
Oh, the fucking conspiracy theories. Like I'm telling you, bro, this is it. All right.
As long as you don't talk about how there's lizard people down there and stuff.
It's a different camp, bro. It's a different military base. I'm telling you, they keep them very separate from each other. You can't mix
It's
Caucasian
funny.
and continental.
This is one of those conspiracies that like I would have probably believed a little bit.
It's just
not-
interesting shit.
It's
to be
not
learned
too
about.
far fetched, but like I said, after I like looked at some of it and whatever, and it's like even some conspiracy theorists don't really believe it as much.
But you
least
believe in
that's
Santa
what-
Claus. I'm until you were 9 years old. Everybody believes in something, man.
Young mind, man. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good way to put it. Everybody believes in something. There is
True.
something that you believe in that many other people don't always. 100%. Shit, I still think I'm going to be famous on TikTok. Everybody doesn't.
Well, Frank, if your shit doesn't keep getting banned, you might have a chance. This kid's over here doing dumb shit
Community
for no reason.
guidelines.
Did you even read the community guidelines?
Who reads the community guidelines?
Then that's
It's
why
like
you don't know why you
120
keep banning
pages.
yourself, man. You got to read the terms and conditions.
Nobody
Gotta read
nobody
the
ever
terms and
reads the terms and conditions. You check the
All right,
box and move
Here's a
on.
quick question for you.
That's it.
If you had
Right,
to,
Joe? Come
if
on.
you had to read the terms and conditions for any Apple product twice a week for the rest of your life, or the only thing you could do is listen to Nickelback, what would it be?
Oh my God. Why did it have to be Nickelback? Why Nickelback?
And they say that a hero can save
You know what?
us.
I'm gonna
My
say
favorite
read
Nickelback
because
song.
after you read it like so many times, you're just gonna know it. Like you're just gonna have it memorized at some point. You wouldn't even
Yeah,
have to read
and
it.
Nickelback
anymore.
will just be playing in the back of your head.
Nickelback.
Look at this photograph.
Oh, man. Is
So
that what they played
exposing-
for them while they were torturing them in the Montauk?
That's probably how they made their brains into mush. They're like, this band's gonna be famous in 20 years from now.
Oh.
All right. So rumors that the U.S. government had been conducting experiments in psychological warfare in Montauk at either Camp Hero or the Montauk Air Force Station began to bubble up.
You know what it was
the
called?
80s. What was it
In the
called?
80s? That's what I was gonna ask. When
The
was
mid
this?
80s.
It was Hero Campground, wasn't it? Or something like that. Like campground,
Yes.
like,
Yeah,
Camp
Camp
Hero.
Hero. Yeah.
Camp Hero.
Thanks, Joe.
I didn't know that.
Wait, is that why you said Nickelback? Because the song, did you think of that?
No,
pre-say
but that's
that,
a
or-
pretty interesting reference. Now that we bring that together. That's what just came out of the blue.
That was
That was
good.
good. That was.
Blue. I decided to go blue tonight.
Look at
There you
you,
go.
man. Check it out. So there's this guy, Preston B. Nichols. He legitimized the theory when a lot of the details of these supposed events occurred, and he wrote them in a series of books. It's called The Montauk Project: Experiments in Time. Came out in 1982. He recovered a bunch of repressed memories about his stint as a subject in this mysterious experiment. Soon others who were involved in the Montauk Project came forward, and they kind of like told their stories, right? So
Pause. Wait. That
Pause.
already sounds like what Joe's saying, like in the sense of like, oh, this came out in the 80s, and then someone says, yeah, I have repressed memories about this. Like it kind of just sounds like someone
Well-
made up a story like to go with something to,
that's fine. I got two things to say about this. Number one, if someone says, I saw a UFO, are you going to believe that person?
No.
But if more people keep saying it, are you going to be like, all right, well, maybe these people are seeing UFOs? Joe's probably not going to, but I'm saying in general. Second thing, trauma is suppressed in the brain. So when
Yeah.
some real bad shit happens, like let's say child molestation or fucking a traumatic event that happens as a child, you suppress it so you don't want to relive that memory anymore. After you read something about it or something kind of clicks
Reminds
in
you,
your brain,
yeah.
right, then you'll start to think more about it. So on another note, when a woman says, listen, I was molested by this man, let's go with Bill Cosby for right now. Nobody else said anything until one girl
Right
was like,
now.
yeah, I was molested by Bill Cosby. And now 27 victims occurred out of nowhere. So I get what you're saying, why it kind of seems this way and fishy, but that's kind of how it just goes. You know what I mean? That's how it works.
Yeah, but what percentage of them is actually telling the truth and
I'm
not
not a
doing
fucking
it?
mathematician nor am I
Well,
a
no, and not
statisticologist.
even-
But there's
You don't really-
always
you'll never
those,
know.
you know what I mean? So it's
out of
not
those
the-
27, you don't know who is really telling the
Right.
truth at the end of the day. and
This
who's
is
really
true.
Those
not.
27, probably 7, 8, maybe 10, let's say to be fair, are maybe telling the truth or had an encounter with him and they're trying to make it like it was something different. You know what I mean? Then you got those ones. It's just like the number twinkles down to be so
Well, it's just
little.
like how the
Of
U2
course.
movement got changed. and like how that
The
whole,
what?
like it, how the U two or Me Too or whatever it was, the Me Too.
I was like, did Bono come in out of nowhere and
Me
just
Too. I meant the Me Too movement. But like, yeah, like that started out as something real, and then same thing. There was a bunch of people that just came out and started saying that, and it really wasn't true.
That's some shit.
Shit, what about Jesse Samoye?
That's some shit.
A whole different topic, bro. We can't even get into that right now.
Just saying, like lies on lies on lies.
Stacks on stacks on stacks.
Oh, Smollett.
So
Smollett.
in this dude's I guess series of books and stuff like that, other subjects that were recovering from these memories, they gave a whole bunch of different interviews and their involvement in these experiments. And this included space, time, and other dimensions, which sounds far-fetched, but there is such thing as space, time, and other dimensions. You can't argue that. Now, have we gotten to that part of like everyone's aware of it and knows how to contact or get to the other side? No, but it is what it is. So depending on these videos and when it was documented, the scope was that what was happening in Montauk is enough to include other conspiracies, such as the Philadelphia experiment, which you guys aren't familiar with, right?
No, I got to that, but I don't really.
Okay.
So I
So
just know there are two military things.
a bunch of these experiments in the early 80s were leading up to a 1983 incident that began during World War II, which is more famously covert military operation.
Wait, I'm reading now that the Philadelphia experiment was in the 40s, though.
Yes, this is leading up to it.
Oh,
So-
how is that leading? Wait, oh, the Philadelphia experiment was leading into the Montauk Project.
No, the Montauk Project led into the Philadelphia experiment.
How? The
Well,
Montauk Project was
funny
in
you should ask,
1980.
because
This
the
was
very
in
next paragraph
1940.
says how the Philadelphia
He's
experiment
gotta
ties
finish.
in.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, but I'm
It's
just,
all
I'm
good.
just because if it happened 40 years prior, then how did it tie in after?
Time travel, bro.
Get the fuck out
No,
of
I'm
here.
just kidding. That came out of the top of my dome.
Oh.
Wow.
Do you want to
Frank.
read this next
Gullible?
paragraph or no?
Yes.
No, I'm good. Roll with it. Go ahead.
All right,
Do your
so-
thing.
This is apparently how the Philadelphia experiment ties in with the Montauk Project. In October 1943, the U.S. military conducted many secret experiments in the naval
As they do.
shipyard in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. What?
Mhm. I said as they do.
Right, of course.
I was saying we
Um,
all know that they're doing things that we don't know about. Obviously, that's
Yes. So they were doing this secret experiments, kind of like on a quest to discover a way to go under Nazi radar so they could safely transport supplies to allies in Europe. Right. So that sounds
Okay.
legit. You're trying to figure out something, how to get out of, how to go under radar so they don't see you on the ships, so you can make it from one country to another.
yeah.
The Navy never admitted to any of this, of course, and none of these tests taking place because it's confidential and you probably get fucking shot in the face if you said something. But not only did it succeed in uncovering how to make its ships invisible to radar, but it accidentally managed to cause a battleship to travel from one place to another.
Oh no, man.
Right? It's weird. So it traveled from someplace that nobody is actually quite sure. Maybe another time, maybe a different dimension. Ship went somewhere.
Oh, not like a
bottom line.
distance, like it.
No. Like somewhere else, like here and then not here. Crazy thing about it is that it came back. So we'll get to that in a second. But what I was bringing up before is that once Hollywood got its hands on the story, before Stranger Things, 1984, the movie The Philadelphia Experiment, adapted from a book about this conspiracy, follows two sailors who served on the USS Eldridge during World War II. Shit's pretty crazy. So I'm going to briefly go over the Philadelphia Experiment, and then you guys could just disagree with me if you like, because I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen in this episode. But
It's just funny. I'm sorry, you could say it.
Go ahead, go ahead.
But it just sounds like manifest. That's like what it sounded like to me. Like when you're like, oh, it just went away, and then all of a sudden it came back. Like that's what happened in the show Manifest. Like I don't know. That's not something that I believe in at all either.
Well, the
How
show
many
Manifest,
seasons are that show?
I think it was like 6 or 7.
Hmm.
Good show, great show. But like that's what happens in that show because the plane disappears, and then all of a sudden they come back 5 years later.
I only finished the first one. I didn't know how many are after that. It was really
Alright.
good.
No, it was good. It is a good show. But like after the plane comes back, that happens. Like there's certain things or pieces or whatever that they're finding, and like something like just all of a sudden disappears and then like comes back. I don't know. That just sounds very that's supernatural. I don't believe in like the witch wizard stuff.
Witch wizard stuff, wiki stuff.
Witwicky.
Okay, I wanted to do that silence for a second because I want to ask you guys something, and then we'll edit this part out. I could just kind of wrap up with Montauk now, and then we could do another quick one with Philadelphia Experiment. Or what we can do is we could just tie them both into one, and I'll just, because I don't want it to be like I'm just reading off this thing. You know, I like how we're breaking it up with a little bit of jokes and stuff. What are you gonna say?
I hate that you had to just do that and you couldn't just make the fucking decision in your head because now there's an edited clip and
Yep.
the video fucking skips over whatever. I don't want to have to cut something out if we don't ever have to.
Okay.
So thanks for that.
I'm sorry. I tried to keep it silent. I didn't know that.
That's why we have a chat.
So now we have to go silent again and kind of like say
Yeah,
like a
right.
second, and I said like a carry on.
But even if you're still gonna, when they watch YouTube, you're still gonna see that. Like you're still gonna see.
It's
the
like
cut.
a quick little cut though.
Gonna see it.
All right. I'm sorry. So now that we're on the topic, do you want to continue with and just make it all one, or do you want to be like, all right, well, you know,
I'm gonna say let's make it all one, and
I'm
I'm gonna say let's make it all one, and I'm leaving this in now.
you gotta be an asshole about it. Don't do that because I won't do the artwork. It's already done. Fuck.
No, it's in. Stay in.
Some of 'em a bitch.
2-1.
No, that's gonna sound really stupid if we do keep it in, but
We're keeping it.
Maybe it'll teach you. You know what? I'm gonna treat you like my kids and say maybe it'll teach you a lesson not to do it the next time.
how am I supposed to know this shit if it's not the next time? I'm not the fucking editor here. I do the artwork. All right.
Yo, it's so funny.
What do you want me to do?
What do you want?
Fuck out of here. All right, we're keeping it one. Keep it in. Good. Guys, Frank has a baby dick, by the way. Keep that in too while you're at it.
So what about the Philadelphia Experiment? So well, you already tied it together of how.
Well, now it's just tied in. So
Well,
now
I say how it ties in. So, but what is the Philadelphia Experiment? So it's the same thing as the Montauk Project, just 40 years earlier. Like I still don't
No,
understand what you're
so-
saying.
the Philadelphia experience different. It was happened in 1943, and it was like a Navy destroyer that was made invisible, like I said, under the radar.
Tell us about it without looking at the doc.
I could tell you. I mean, I was going to give you bullet points of what happened, but I mean, basically the gist of it
Close
is
out your
that
doc and
I'll
then
close
tell
my
us.
eyes if you like.
He's
Dude,
peeking.
I
He's
reference
peeking.
back shit.
Tell me about this thing. What do you know about it that we should know? that we
So
can both
basically, there was people on the ship. It was a Navy ship, and they used some type of teleportal shit that kind of made this USS Eldridge disappear, and it was gone for some time. I can't tell you exactly how much time because it's written in the doc, and you told me not to
From
look
August
at
to
it.
December.
March to December. Okay.
August to December.
August to December. Then when it came back, it reappeared, and there was people like melted into the walls and the floor and shit. Like everything got scrambled up, and people's arms were one place, people's legs were somewhere else. It was really fucked up. Like it's if you like rip a piece of paper up and then try to tape it back together.
So where's the ship now?
The ship came back from wherever it came from, but it was not mangled, but it was just disheveled and it was all fucked up when it came
But I'm saying
back.
if people were in the walls and it's not, they didn't like there's no
Well, it's the military.
records of that.
So
Like you
I'm
can't
assuming,
find any like
look, dude, you know, it's the military, and this is classified shit that was going on in World War II.
So how is this story out then?
Because this is what I was going to read before you told me not to look at the docs. The
I didn't
guy,
tell you not to look at
No, you
anything.
can look at the doc now.
thank you very much. I appreciate it. This guy Nichols wrote a book on it, and it said the ship involved the experiment, the USS Eldridge. Archives reviewed that it was a deck log and a war diary from the Eldridge Commission on August 27, 1943, the New York Navy Yard through December 1943. So these are
This
quick
guy could have just
logs.
been some schizophrenic that they
Right.
didn't know.
So you're
And he
telling
could
me
have just
just
been writing
this
something in his
one guy.
diary and they found it.
But it's got to get signed off. It's not just like some dude's writing shit. This is a legit war diary, a deck log that you have on a master sheet.
oh, like captain's log.
yes,
like, I hear
exactly,
you.
shit like that. So in 1943, the destroyer was made invisible and teleported from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to Norfolk, Virginia, and that's why it's known as the Philadelphia Experiment. So this is one of the following descriptions, and it's summarized. So I'm doing fucking hashtags or whatever, not hashtags.
Wait,
bullet
so can we
points.
go back a little bit? So how did it tie in then exactly? So the naval shipyard, or they moved the Navy ship. So how does that tie into them kidnapping kids 40 years
So
later?
This is the portal to Montauk. Whatever they opened up when they transported from Philadelphia to Norfolk, Virginia, they used that from the Montauk experiment, the Montauk Project. So they got all their information to create the Philadelphia experiment
But what
from the Montauk
information
Project.
But that's what it says. And how would they get the information when it was coming in 40
It's still
years?
military. The military deals with military stuff. So
I get that, but you're saying that it deals with military stuff. But you're saying that the Montauk experiment in 1980, the Philadelphia experiment in 1943,
right.
got this.
I'm sorry, it was the other way
data.
around. My bad.
Okay, that's what I kept saying. I'm like, how is this
apologize.
happening? You're like, dude,
I
you're
fucked
like,
up. My bad. I'm sorry. You're correct. The Philadelphia
how are they
experiment.
going to get the information from someone that hasn't been here for 40 years?
Okay. So that's my bad. That's my
okay.
bad.
So the Philadelphia experiment was in 43, and whatever they did, they used in the 80s for the Montauk experiment.
Correct.
That makes more sense.
Yes.
Okay.
And now that's how they tried to open up this defense.
Because he said before when I asked him that, he was like, time travel, bro. So I was like, what? This theory is crazy. If they're thinking that they got something from 40 years in the future.
The time travel thing?
I misspoke and I fucked up. So that fucking threw Frank off completely. I guess.
But he kept confirming it. Like I kept
because I didn't realize that you were on a different page that I was on. You're not following the doc clearly, all right? So
oh my
Joe's just like, fuck this doc, man. I don't give a shit.
I am. I got the doc right here, bro. I'm listening to you and reading it at the same time.
Oh
that
man.
was good.
So here's the log real quick for the Philadelphia experiment in 1943. From the deck log. All right. September 16th, after commissioning, Eldridge remained in New York and in Long Island Sound until September, when it was sailed to Bermuda. From September 18th, the ship was in the vicinity of Bermuda, undergoing training and sea trials until October 15th, when Eldridge left in a convoy from New York, where the convoy entered on October 18th. Eldridge remained in New York Harbor until the 1st of November, known as part of the escort for convoy UGS-23, which is a New York section. This is military talk, apparently. On November 2nd, the convoy entered the Naval Operation Base in Norfolk, Virginia. On November 3rd, Eldridge and convoy UGS-23 left for Casablanca, which I didn't even know was a real place. I thought it was just actually a movie, where it arrived on November 22nd. On the 29th of November, Eldridge left as one of the escorts for the convoy Gus 22 and arrived with the convoy on December 17th in New York Harbor. The Eldridge remained in New York on an availability training and in Block Island Sound until December 31st, when it steamed to Norfolk for the 4 other ships. During this time frame, Eldridge was never in Philadelphia. So supposedly the crew of civilian merchants of the SS Andrews observed the arrival via teleportation of the Eldridge in the Norfolk, Virginia area.
So they saw it teleport back.
Yes, basically. So that's what that says. A little bit further, it says from
I just
SS
feel
Andrews.
like if a situation like that happened, I don't care what year it is, and that many people saw it actually happen, there would be a solid story today on it.
There would be descriptive
right. It
that
would
people
be
could explain.
Such a big thing.
Yeah, like
now,
like because when you said it to me, how it appeared, like in my mind, because I play Fortnite and I'm from this generation, like I pictured the rift in Fortnite, like rip open all of a sudden, and then the boat appears. So like someone would be able to explain that, seeing the light split open or whatever, or like exactly.
The whole crew saw it.
Exactly.
I know it was so many years ago, but like, dude,
even in Manifest, like going back to that,
listen to all the stories we hear now from those times back then. Like people make sure it's such a detailed thing. It's a big event. That's something that would be documented, like for real. Actually. Yeah,
if you're gonna say that you witnessed it, you're gonna say everything
know what I mean?
You saw to prove it.
That's why I'm just like, how is this really?
No,
what do you mean? A whole crew of people saw a ship fucking appear.
Like, unless that whole crew was like paid by the government and given NDAs to like not do that, which is possible.
I don't know, man. It's just weird.
But I don't know. I mean, it said supposedly some of the crew of a civilian merchant ship. So who knows if it was really like a whole crew? Maybe it was a fucking tugboat. You know what I'm saying?
And like 4 guys on it. Yeah.
Yeah. long story short, they wound up figuring out how to go under radar using the magnetics frequency of the ship and the fucking bottom of the ocean for radar. So they were undetected on radar, but you could still see it to the human eye as far as their experiment trying to get through from America to Europe and supply them with other shit.
So
I don't know how the fuck they came up with this portal shit or how this happened, but
let me ask you this then, just because since we're talking about everything that's happened now in this, and I haven't seen Stranger Things, for anyone else that hasn't seen also, or like whatever, since you guys have seen it, how does this really connect to Stranger Things? Like not like a doc, not like anything, but like just explain to me from you, like how does this connect? What happens in the show that like is like related
so
to
this doesn't connect to the Philadelphia experiment, has nothing to do with Stranger Things. This
so the
Philadelphia
Montauk
experiment,
Project. So what? They kidnap kids in Stranger Things?
Joe.
All right, sure. Yeah, actually, they do kidnap kids.
Okay.
No,
I mean, don't worry about spoilers or anything, because like everybody is
in
obviously
Stranger Things, you find out 11 actually has a mom, and the mom always tries to come back, and blah blah blah, whatever. Anyway, it's just a bunch of kids. It's a whole military experiment. A bunch of kids, shaved heads, marked numbers on their wrists, and they do experiments on them. But they got like telepathic powers and shit. And it has to do with how they're experimenting on them to use it to like read people's minds in a different country. You know what I mean? Like,
wow, I really would like this show.
Shit like that, and it gets pretty crazy. And
wait, but how did that come out of from the first season? Because the kid with the lights that was trying to communicate with her, whatever, he was captured.
Yes, he got stuck in the upside down. You got to watch it. You got to literally.
Well, see, I thought the upside down was like this parallel universe or something, not like somewhere where they're being held.
It is a parallel universe, but
I get the Montauk Project now.
It was broken open because of what they were doing in the Montauk Project. And when you watch the show, you'll see they at the end of the season they start explaining what all these kids are there for and what who Papa is and what the hell is actually happening.
Papa.
And the powers that all these kids have, one of them broke open a portal or could travel into a portal. And I'm not going to ruin it for you, but it all ties in. In the second season, it gets really into it. The military really comes in. You start to see more. You got to watch the first part. The first season is just explaining what happens. And it has to do with aliens. It has to do with aliens because that's what Demogorgons are. And
well, they're like demons and stuff from another.
Demons and shit, right? But still, you get the point. They're basing it off of the Montauk Project, and the Montauk Project was all this: kids that were kidnapped, being experimented on for warfare. Like, you know what I mean? They'll tell you about a specific general in Russia, and they'll make you read that person's mind. You know what I mean? They were trying to do shit like that. That's in the show.
Oh, yeah. But I get how that's related to what he's saying, like how they were trying to get under the radar and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I get it.
You know what I mean? It's based off of this. Even though this is a conspiracy, it's great for movie production.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was just gonna say. So did you always know that it was based off of this theory going into the show?
I did. He didn't.
Gotcha.
No, I did. I've heard
you knew about the Montauk Project?
I know about the Montauk Project.
Joe always says he's into the theories for movies and fun, not for like, I think this could really be. So
it would make a great fucking movie. And look at this, the Montauk Project. You got Stranger Things, which is basically off of that. And now in the fourth season, spoiler or not,
I don't care.
It's
for anybody who hasn't seen it yet, pause right now or just chill.
No, it's just
it's not really a spoiler alert.
You find out in the third season, it's a lot of Russian shit. You know what I mean? They make it very comedy.
Gotcha.
It's back in that time period. It's literally based off of everything we've talked about.
Right.
Okay.
But they made it into a movie because it's fucking fantastic for a movie. It's just conspiracy.
None of one of those stories that came into a movie.
So based on what he's saying now, what I'm going to explain to you kind of ties into more so of Stranger Things, similar to Montauk Project. So after the Philadelphia experiment happened, this guy, Al Bielek, he was part of the Montauk Project. And basically he kind of suppressed all these memories of what was going on with all these kids and all this other shit and experiments that were happening at Camp Hero. So him and I think his brother, Edward Cameron, they were part of it together. And some of it, they said that they found proof that in the 40s, Nikola Tesla found a way how to make the USS Eldridge invisible. And in the process, that opened up a wormhole into the future and sucked in the ship. Kind of like what you said before about like ripping up in Fortnite or whatever you said.
A rift, yeah.
Right, a rift.
Fortnite.
So
Danny does not play video games at all, if you guys couldn't
no
tell.
idea. So they were both on board the Philadelphia experiment when that the USS Eldridge when that happened.
Okay.
Now, the wormhole kind of destroyed all the equipment and everything. According to the brothers, they completed the mission that they had to do, and then everything was destroyed. They didn't want to continue moving forward with this experiment because it was too dangerous. A lot of people died on it, and a lot of people, like I said, they came back with like their arms where their leg was, or they were like their whole body was like half in the wall, the other part was like on a broomstick and shit like that. I don't know, whatever like a deckhand does. So they stopped doing these experiments with portals. So now the psychic powers became psychic espionage, like he was saying, trying to get people to listen to or figure out shit from other countries. What's up?
Pause real quick. Just imagine if that really like imagine if you are a scientist, right? In like the 80s or the 40s, and like the ship comes back and you do see like a person with like a broom is half their body and the other half of their body is attached to something else. You would turn around and be like, I don't think we should do this anymore too. Like, can we take a break for like 20, 30 years and let the next generation proceed on this one?
Oh shit, we fucked up.
Like when you said that, like that's what I was thinking. Like, I mean, it's not far-fetched to think about because any person would be terrified and be like, yeah, I don't want to fucking work on this anymore.
Being a scientist, the whole thing is fuck around and find out. You know what I'm saying? That's how it goes.
But I'm sure that there's many scientists that have had something traumatic happen during like a test run of something that I'm like stopped doing that, you know, whatever project. So yes, exactly. That's some funny shit though, because it's like you done fuck up so bad where it's like, all right, maybe I should give this up. You know, let's start something else. So these two brothers they were very traumatized about what was going on, and I guess the book that this guy Preston Nichols wrote was called The Montauk Project: Experiments in Time. They both read it and it brought back memories and shit like that. So during the 70s, he claimed that he worked with the guy Al Bielek on something called the Montauk chair, which is a piece of furniture that had like electromagnetics to amplify psychic powers. Joe, you kind of know this is like when they put the bead thing on like 11's head to help with the sensory deprivation shit.
Yeah.
So Duncan Cameron was one of the brothers. He supposedly had psychic powers and became the focus of the Montauk chair experiment. Apparently, this guy Duncan could manifest objects just by thinking about it while in this chair, hooked up to all these electromagnetics and shit like that. One of the experiments the guy Preston Nichols describes in his book says it sounds a lot like the experiment being performed on 11 before she opens up the portal to the upside down. Okay, this is in quotations now. It's called, the first experiment was called the seeing eye, with a lock of a person's hair or appropriate object in his hand, and Duncan could concentrate on the person and be able to see him as if he was right there in front of him, hearing it through his ears, feeling it through his body, and he could actually see through the other person anywhere on the planet. So in Stranger Things, they do these experiments. The guy Papa, who runs everything, he'll take a kid into a room and he'll give him something. He's like, close your eyes. What do you see? Focus. And he's like, oh, I see Miss Johnson with Thomas. And he's like, what are they doing? Oh, they're in room 12 playing with red blocks. Okay, and what's going on now? Well, he's putting the blocks on top of each other. So he's doing this while he's connected to this chair, and he's able to see shit in another place. There you go. There's that. And then, all right. So as far as now the abducted kids go, this guy Nichols continued to experiment with Duncan, who had like powerful psychic abilities and shit like that. No one suspected that he would be like a man from a distant planet who has all this crazy shit going on with him, right? So he tried to harness his powers through the chair and conduct mind control experiments using special radio dishes at Camp Hero. So this is where other children come in. In the book, Nichols writes that lots of the other boys that were being brought in and experimented on were sent through a portal into an unknown of space and time. Stranger Things kind of lifts this theory. The name 11 suggests that there were likely 10 other subjects. So in the book, these abductees, they were known as the Montauk Boys. And since Nichols and Bialik started speaking out about their memories, other people from Long Island have rediscovered that they were frequently abducted from their homes in Camp Hero, and scientists who wanted to break them, quote unquote, psychologically so they could implant subconscious commands. Not, I guess, too far-fetched when that's what people were doing in the 70s in America with acid. They were like, the government was dosing people with acid with at least 2 tabs a day for 72 days to try to melt their brain to recreate them and make them be like spies and shit like that. That's what they did in Russia as well. You might not have heard of this, but I do a lot of YouTubing at night. So this is why, to me, it's nothing new. And Frank's like, what are you talking about? I see it in your face, man.
I've never heard of that. That's why I'm like, what?
Right.
All
So
right. He's like, I do a lot of YouTubing, like, so it's all true. It has to be. I saw it. It's true.
no, dude, but it's fun and
seen
interesting
it
research.
with my own
I
eyes.
seen it one time ever ago.
That's where all the true stuff is. YouTube.
What had happened was I seen it with my 2 eyes.
Abraham Lincoln told me, okay?
I know it's a lie.
So as the story goes, the Montauk chair was just left running. Actually, it just, the whole place, I don't know if the place was destroyed, but whenever they left, the Montauk chair was still running for whatever reason.
Like whatever rift portal machine thing.
I guess so.
Okay.
So as the story goes, by having another time travel machine switched on, the Montauk Project successfully created a time wormhole to 1943 with the power at both ends. That's how Ed and Duncan Cameron in 1943 came through the portal in the events that were described by Al Bialik. So Nichols kept Duncan. Nichols is the writer. Duncan is one of the brothers that were on the Philadelphia USS Aldrich in Philadelphia. I'm sorry, of 1943. And that was the end of the sentence. I fucked that up real quick. So period. The last thing that I'm going to really touch on is there's a quote from his book where it says this guy Duncan summoned a monster, very similar to the Demogorgon in Stranger Things. Whereas they finally decided that we had enough of the whole experiment. The contingency program was activated by someone approaching Duncan while he was in the chair, simply whispering, "The time is now. The time is now." At that moment, he let loose a monster from his subconscious, and it appeared underground, and it was a giant, hairy monster. It was big, hungry, and nasty, and it showed up somewhere on the base. It would eat anything it could find, and it smashed everything in its sight. Several different people saw it, but almost everyone described it as a different beast. No one survived. So he smashed all the guy, Preston Nichols. I'm wrapping up on this.
No, I'm laughing because you said everyone saw it, but they all described it differently. But then you said no one survived. So how do we know?
That's cool. You got me there. Solid, actually. That's very valid. I have my foot in my mouth on this one. I don't know. Very true. I guess documents and stuff like that. And then, you know what, Frank? I don't fucking know.
Time travel, bro.
That's the time travel, bro. It's so fucking weird. You know what? Let's break this down. I don't know. I guess anybody who saw it, maybe they took pictures of it. There was no pictures in 1940. Dude, I don't know. I guess it just described as, this is why it's not true. It's a fucking conspiracy theory, I guess. I don't fucking know, man. See, this is why I'm not credible when it comes to certain shit. But
This is good. No, but I'm sorry. So go ahead. Finish your sentence, though.
Well, actually, this guy survived, both of them, because they wrote a book about it. So I guess
so just them two survived.
I don't know if it was just them two, but he said most of the people. Several different people saw it, but almost everyone described it as different, and most of them died. Most of them died. I'm sorry, not everyone died. I wrote everything in sight instead of everyone died. My bad.
And it smashed everything in sight. Oh, okay, gotcha.
My bad. I'm doing a lot of reading here tonight, guys. Okay, my lips are kind of chapped. Ow, now, brown cow.
No, brown cow.
Oh, man, that was good.
Unique New York. So to wrap this up, apparently this guy Preston Nichols, he had smashed all the equipment that powered everything before the beast disappeared back into nothingness. That incident, plus a successful time anchor that was built between August 12th of 1943 with the experiment of the Philadelphia Project. I'm sorry, with the Philadelphia experiment, and August 12th of 1983 ensured that the project would be shut down. Employees were then brainwashed. there's that to wipe everyone's memory. Employees were then brainwashed, and in 1984, the lower levels of the base were filled with cement. So that's pretty much the end of it. To wrap up with Stranger Things, it kind of says that some testimonials from the Montauk survivors make mention of alien life forms, either of the classic gray-skinned variety or something weirder, like giant lizard people or extra-dimensional beings, and connections back to the Philadelphia experiment. All right, so the more I read on,
that's funny. No, but it's just funny because this guy Nichols had like a solid story, like no holes. Like, listen, man, this is what happened. And then, like, when the beast came out, he killed everyone that saw it but me and this one other guy. And then as soon as he went back in the wormhole, we like destroyed everything, so he couldn't.
Everything's gone. We set it all on fire. Which is kind of crazy because what is it, season 3, when they destroy the mall, right? It's built under the mall where they would have this portal and shit. And it's fucking weird, man. Like, I'm going to say, like, no, I don't believe that this happened, but it's pretty crazy that they took something and ran with it and they made a really, really cool fucking TV show about it.
Oh, absolutely. Or, they did the TV show to make people believe that it wasn't something real and to not believe it. And they really just moved locations and they're under the Denver airport now.
That could be it. You never know, man. They might have just transferred them. But if you Google the Montauk Monster, you'll read stories about it. It's an urban legend, and they created this whole Stranger Things cult about it. And I fucking love Stranger Things. It's dope. And I'm really excited for this next episode. Next season.
I definitely want to watch it now just based on Joe's description. That was a really good description. So
you could definitely wrap it up. We'll definitely wrap it up now because you can't have an abortion anymore. But besides that, which is pretty fucked up. I'm pro-choice. But
honestly, me too. That's the one thing that I keep saying about this. I wouldn't say I'd pick a side for like a reason. I just believe in people having their own choice. So I feel
that's
you
it.
on that.
It's not up to me. It's not up to me. But anyways, what I meant to say is when you watch Stranger Things, you'll remember what we talked about in this fucking episode. And you'll be like, oh shit, that's pretty cool. Obviously, Hollywood had its turn on it, but it is what it is. And I think it's dope. I really think you'll like it.
Word.
That's pretty much all I've got to say about that. So I guess thanks for making it this far in the episode, everyone who's listening. We appreciate your likes, listens, shares, and follows.
There he is.
And
Peace out, guys.
Peace out.
Go follow us on YouTube.
Yes.